I like to say that I was born in the Thousand Islands, but I was raised in the Finger Lakes. So I grew up in Cortland County, um, and lived there until through college, graduate of SUNY Cortland. Moved out to the Western Finger Lakes and lived in Rochester for a little bit before I stumbled into this lovely industry that is tourism. So started with the Wyoming County TPA as their tourism head, and that was, oh gosh, almost 13 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. So I've jumped around a couple different places here or there within New York State tourism, um, ultimately leading me here to the Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance, where I am extremely thrilled to be the next president and CEO.
13 years in tourism, in any industry, is long enough to see significant changes, or at least the bigger things that change. When you look back at 13 years to date, what are some of the things that stand out to you as far as the title change rather, in Finger Lakes tourism?
Sure. I think the biggest one is the elephant in the room that anyone would point to is the pandemic. Was something that I don't think anyone was prepared for, particularly in the tourism industry. I don't think it'd be news to anyone to know that the hospitality and tourism industry was without a doubt the hardest hit by the pandemic in terms of jobs lost, things changed, just people staying at home, which is 100% the antithesis to what we do here as an industry for tourism. So I think that's definitely in over the course of my career been the thing that has kind of shaken everyone. Has been, something that we've all really tried to, pivot and adjust and run with and figure out what we were going to do. But aside from that, I think just the atmosphere in general in tourism is ever evolving and ever changing. The reasons that people travel, the places that people travel to always changes. And I think it's pivotal in this role in particular, in any role in Finger Lakes tourism, to ensure that we're always keeping up with the changes, that we're always relevant, that, we can continually entice visitors to come to this region to spend their hard-earned dollars, their vacation money here with us in the region. So it's been very interesting to kind of see different ebbs and flows, right? For a long time, we were competing pretty rough and heavy with international tourism, right? Like, how do we keep people here in the Finger Lakes or entice people to come here? And then again, the pandemic hit and you couldn't leave the United States. You couldn't leave your state, So I think it's been very interesting to kind of see all of these different things, and it's still changing now. I mean, tourism is back. I think probably bigger than ever. We've been seeing numbers, pre-pandemic numbers of tourists, but I think even that we're starting to see more drive time tourist, like our focus is changing to like that 3 to 6 hour. People could get here for a weekend, but they still feel comfortable knowing that they can get back home quickly if something were to happen, that kind of thing. So it's definitely been interesting to see what comes, what goes, what happens.
What are your expectations for 2023, the tourism season? I guess we'll call it the tourism season in the Finger Lakes, sort of that spring into summer and then fall. Obviously, 2022 was gangbusters. It was the best thing since sliced bread, apparently. Would we expect a sort of continuation of that, or perhaps a plateau or something different?
I do think that we're going to continue to see a rise. I'm anticipating, numbers to be even higher than they were in 22, which is saying something because again, 22 was so high. But I do think that there is still very much that feeling across the board that people want to get back out and experience things again. I think in 22, we still saw some different peaks, some different like variations of COVID pandemic stuff going on. So I don't think we were still fully yet in a headspace where we were wide open, let's travel, let's go. And I feel now that we're more so in that headspace. And I think that we're going to see more people return to travel in even bigger force this summer, which is extremely exciting.
Love to see that. So for the uninitiated, tell us what the Tourism Alliance is and what role it has in sort of that broad tourism space.
Sure. So the Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance is the destination marketing organization for the region of the Finger Lakes, the 14 counties. So we are a membership-based organization, and what we do is we promote travel and tourism to the Finger Lakes region, specifically highlighting anyone that is a partner organization of us. So our role is really to support our partner organizations, our partner members, and encourage travel into the region. So that in a nutshell, we want visitors to come here to take part in everything that we have to offer here in the Finger Lakes.
So how do we do it? I guess that is a great segue into sort of how you're approaching your first year in this role. What are your priorities for 2023 and maybe the beginning of 2024? And how are you approaching this whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit different shift, I think, from the mindset historically here at FLTA. I come from organizations that are specifically tourism promotion agencies. So that is my background in New York State. My role has always been destination marketing. So that is the mindset that I bring to this organization. I think we've done really well in the past as destination marketers, but I also think that there is so much opportunity to do more. We're a little bit of a split organization because we do have partners, we have members of our organization. So kind of in the sense of a chamber of commerce, like we're always making sure that we're prioritizing our members. But at the same point, we also at our core are a destination marketing organization. So one of my main priorities is really leaning into that designation, pushing our marketing efforts. We're looking at doing a website redo this year, which would be huge for us. It's been many, many years since our website has been redone. And as I'm sure you're aware and listeners are aware, websites change, technology changes. So we're looking at creating that service to better serve people that are visiting us, really leaning into social media and all of those trends that are out there. Obviously, that's one of the main ways that you're connecting with your visitors nowadays, looking at those kind of observations. So from a marketing standpoint, really leaning into those opportunities and making sure that we're out there first and foremost. Someone is searching for the Finger Lakes, someone is looking to plan a destination in New York State, that our information pops to the top and where we are, where they are going to get their information. So that's kind of just an overall outlook of what I'm looking to do with the organization. I think the other really, really big thing that we're very excited about, and that has been going on for many years, and that I fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, I'm just coming in at the tail end of it. So I think I'm going to get to pin my hat to it, but I can't take the credit. I have to give it to Cindy Kimball, is really the National Heritage Area designation. So this process has been going on for quite a few years. Cindy's really spearheaded it. And, unfortunately with timing, we just didn't get pushed across the finish line when she was in the position. So it's something that is a number one priority for me this summer, is to really finish up that process and to see that declaration come across, because it would be a boon for every single county in the region.
Awesome. One of the questions that we got coming into this was, is there an advocacy arm within the Tourism Alliance? Because I think the name kind of, for those who might not be aware, it kind of gives this, I don't want to call it political, but it sounds like it may also be this entity that maybe advocates on behalf of the tourism industry. Is there any connection to that at all, or is that just foolishness?
No, so that is absolutely a portion of what we do, without a doubt. We're not necessarily, we're not lobbyists. We're not, regulated to do any of that exact material. But we do advocate on behalf of the partnerships, on behalf of the members here in the 14 counties. We work closely with some of our other organizations that are part of New York State Tourism. So we're working with some of our state organizations, our state hotel organizations, our other tourism professional offices that we work with, continuously advocating on behalf of the Finger Lakes in particular, but then New York State tourism region as a whole. Absolutely. We visit and meet with our legislators, our representatives here within the counties. We're doing the same thing at the state level. With this national heritage area, we've now, really stepped up and started going more towards the national level. And again, that's a portion of what we do, without a doubt.
What's the benefit of that distinction for the Finger Lakes region as a whole? Obviously, 14 counties is a very large area, much larger than most people are accustomed to thinking about the Finger Lakes region. But in terms of putting the Finger Lakes even more on the map than it already is in the United States total landscape, what does this distinction do you think?
It really elevates us to an even bigger national level. I mean, I would be remiss to say that we don't have national level, because we do. And everyone that has ever worked in tourism in the Finger Lakes has worked towards that process of elevating us and making us known as a national destination. But I think this actual national heritage area, designating the region as that, it being a national designation, there's only, and you're putting me on the spot, I don't know my numbers, it's day 6. I believe there's less than 50 actual national heritage areas designated across the US. So, it's pretty good company that we're going to be in. It opens us up to potential grant funding opportunities and just, a wealth of other opportunities. And it just raises the Finger Lakes up, right? Like, you're no longer be able to just say, come to the Finger Lakes. It's going to be, come to the National Heritage Area Finger Lakes. And so just that in and of itself offers up the opportunity for really endless opportunity, just to say it, for lack of a better way to say it. I know my predecessor, Cindy, has been working on this for 14 years. I mean, it isn't a shot in the dark that we just decided last year to kind of go for it. It's a multi-year process. And her and I were talking about it, and we should have done it 50 years ago. It's one of those things, plant a tree today or yesterday. But we're really excited about it. I mean, I think that above and beyond just the tourism industry in New York State and the Finger Lakes, I think just about everyone is going to see the impact that this potentially could have for the region.
And I know you're busy. This is, you're less than a week into the job, but I have to ask you last question, elevator pitch for why folks should come visit the Finger Lakes for anybody who's listening outside of the immediate Finger Lakes area. The weather's about to start to get a little better here. Why should folks come to the Finger Lakes April and beyond?
Sure. So it's going to go a little bit beyond that, because truly the Finger Lakes is your 4-season destination, and there is something for everyone to do here. So no matter what it is that you enjoy doing on your vacation, how you enjoy spending your time, you can experience that here in the Finger Lakes. If you're a skier, we have that. If you're a wine connoisseur, obviously we have that. But from everything else, I mean, it's a family-friendly destination. It's got activities for every generation. Multi-generational trips can come here, can enjoy. Truly, it is a 4-season destination for anyone. And I know a lot of different areas of the country and beyond like to use that as their tourism tagline. But I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a place that truly embodies that phrase as much as the Finger Lakes does.